You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap opera fans. It's Soap Dirt on YouTube, and today we're going to talk about the real reason that these 5 actors left Bold and the Beautiful. We are going to be talking about the actors that played Ridge, Rick, Stephanie, Quinn, and Thorne. We're going to dig in and talk about why they left Bold and the Beautiful, what was the real reason versus what we might have been told at the time. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, casting news, everything that you need to know. So of the 5 that we are looking at, the first to depart was Ronn Moss as Ridge Forrester. And at the time that it came out that he was leaving, an insider had told Entertainment Weekly that Ronn Moss quit over a, quote, salary issue. In fact, he decided not to renew and left at the end of his then current contract. He did not confirm the money problems specifically. So that one tidbit about the salary came from an insider. Instead, Ronn Moss called his decision to leave a, quote, rebirth. He also said he was finally listening to signs and called it silly not to listen to them. And in an interview with Soap Digest, I think, he revealed that there were 2 signs that he felt were important for him to obey. The first was a car crash that he and his wife were in together that he said was really scary. And the second one was that he saw the clock in his dressing room had stopped at this certain time, and it was the time of his birth, which is very strange, and that was one of the reasons that he left. Now, his final episode aired on September 14th, 2012, and the bottom line is, fans loved Ronn Moss as Ridge Forrester. They didn't want him to go, and the role wound up recast with Thorsten Kaye. And when he left, Ronn Moss sent a message to fans and says, "What I want the fans to hear is how dedicated I am to them." And then he continued saying, "It was really sad to leave, but I had to." In Ronn Moss's final scenes, we saw he and Brooke Logan get married. They left on their honeymoon. But then after they had left, he dumped her over lies and some kind of secret texting thing with Deacon Sharp. And then Ridge said he was going to leave Thomas Forrester in charge. And then he said he was leaving and he wasn't coming home and sent Brooke home without him, with their marriage split up. And then it was a year later that recast Ridge Forrester returned with Thorsten Kaye in the role, and where he remains today. So the real reason that Ronn Moss left was reportedly money issues, and he felt like it just wasn't the place he needed to be, and he followed signs to something new. The second person on our list to leave was Susan Flannery. She also left in 2012, and of course she was the OG Forrester matriarch, Stephanie Forrester, and Steffi, of course, is her namesake. So why did Susan Flannery leave? Well, she decided that it was time for her to go, although she reportedly didn't like the word retirement, but she still decided she wanted to go. She wanted to leave. And if you recall, Susan Flannery was one of the original 4 cast members of Bold and the Beautiful, along with John McCook as Eric Forrester, Catherine Kelly Lang as Brooke Logan, and Ronn Moss as Ridge Forrester. So Ron was the first of the original 4 to leave, followed by Susan Flannery, and the other 2 of the original are still on the CBS soap now. So after Susan Flannery approached showrunner Brad Bell and said she wanted to leave, he created this grand farewell to her. He brought her lung cancer, the character's lung cancer, out of remission. There was this big party scene, and then her last moments as Stephanie Forrester on the soap were spent with Brooke Logan, comforting her and singing to her as Stephanie took her final breaths. While some fans didn't like the fact that Stephanie's last moments on the soap were with Brooke, in fact, it was Susan Flannery's request that Brooke was Stephanie's final scenes. As for Susan Flannery now, well, she's 83. She's alive and well 11 years after her self-requested exit from Bold and the Beautiful. Her final episode was November 26, 2012. Now, the next person we are going to talk about that left was Winsor Harmon as Thorne Forrester. And basically, the real reason that Winsor Harmon left was he had no choice. He didn't choose to leave. This was something that was done to him, apparently. So in some cases, like with Susan Flannery, she wanted to leave. With Ron Moss, he wanted to leave. With Winsor Harmon, he was expecting to have a front burner storyline at Bold and the Beautiful. And so he was stunned to find out that he had been replaced. His last air date as Thorne happened, and then that was October 6th of 2016, and he was anticipating that he was going to be back. And he said that executive producer Brad Bell said he had a major storyline coming for Thorne, and then he shocked him, blindsided him by recasting his role with Ingo Rademacher, who had famously played Jasper Jacks over at General Hospital. So despite being blindsided by this recast, and of course this wasn't something that the recast actor cooked up. This is something that Bold and the Beautiful casting decided. So it's not like one actor against the other. They have said that they are on friendly terms and they knew each other and were always friendly before this. This was just, you as an actor, you don't know what a soap is deciding and who they're hiring and firing. So at the time, Winsor Harmon kept it really classy, and he sent a social media message to his recast replacement saying, "Congrats, Ingo Rademacher. You're going to be amazing as Thorne. Buddy, big shoes, dude." Said he had big shoes to fill, size 11, and says, "Call me, man." And then after about a year, his recast, Ingo Rademacher, decided not to renew his contract. And so Thorne Forrester was last seen February 14th, 2019, when he abruptly ended his marriage to Katie Logan and left town. So Winsor Harmon would probably be a welcome returnee to Bold and the Beautiful if they decided to give him another chance, because the other actor doesn't want the part anymore, and fans absolutely loved him. So the fourth person we want to dig into why he left, is why did Jacob Young leave his role as Rick Forrester on Bold and the Beautiful? And if you miss Rick Forrester, it's likely that Jacob Young's handsome face is the one that you imagine in the role. So why would Jacob Young leave? Well, basically, it was about a lack of screen time. A while after his exit, Jacob Young told Soaps in Depth they, meaning Bold and the Beautiful, hyper-focus on a couple of storylines at a time. And he's referring to the limitations because it's only a 30-minute soap, which, as you know, is less than 15 minutes of storyline a day. So he said, that just doesn't work for me. I wanted consistency. Because of the short episode time and the fact that they just can't have as many front burner storylines as like Dave's, GH, or YR, he said basically Bold and the Beautiful will write somebody out for a month or several months, or they show up just once a month. And he said it's not good for the character or the audience, in my opinion. So he just decided to walk away because he wasn't getting enough screen time. And it's true enough, after the split, they wrote the split with Maya Avant, then he just, wasn't getting scenes. And so that makes sense. After he left Bold and the Beautiful, Jacob Young has done a pile of other projects. He's done close to 10 films and 6 TV series, including a short run on The Walking Dead. Before we talk about the fifth and last person, if you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Bold and the Beautiful updates, casting news, all the stuff you need to know. All right, the most recent person to leave, Rena Sofer as Quinn Fuller. So why did Rena decide to leave from the role of Quinn? Quinn Fuller is a fan favorite, despite her, devilish ways and all her bad girl schemes. People love her, and part of that is just Rena Sofer's energy. She's just a ball of talent. So, Rena played the role of Quinn for nearly a decade, and she ended her run August 29th, 2022. But the big question, of course, is why did she leave? And the first thing to know is that she definitely wasn't fired. She decided to exit Bold and the Beautiful. So a couple of months after she left, Rena Sofer did an interview, I think with Soap Digest, and she kind of opened up a little more about it now that, it wasn't so fresh. She said her contract was up, but the soap told her they weren't sure what to do with Quinn, and so they asked her to stay on recurring while they figured it out. So they didn't want to lose Quinn, and they wanted to leave her recurring, which means an episode every now and then until they figured something out for her. And she said, I felt like I deserved more than just sitting around till they figured out. And so she told them she wasn't going to hang around for that. And then she said Brad Bell called to ask her to stay, but she declined. And Rena Sofer said she would take her acting in new directions and would also focus on her pottery business. So she is the most recent person to go, with her last episode on late August 2022. And, you know, when soap actors leave, we do know as soap fans, the nature of it is people come, people go. But these 5 were significant losses for the show, fan favorites, people that either wanted to go or just weren't getting the screen time. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people say they would like to see Bold and the Beautiful expanded to 1 hour, but it's hard to imagine it that way given the way that they've crafted the storylines. I'm not even sure they could adjust because there's so much repeat dialogue. You know, it feels like really there's only a couple of actual episodes a week at the rate that they repeat scenes and everything. So if they doubled it to an hour and then it just kept up with the repetition, it might be more frustrating than anything. But here's what I know. I do miss these 5 actors. I miss Rick. I miss Quinn. I miss Thorne. I definitely miss Stephanie. And I do love, you know, Torsten K as Ridge, but come on, everybody loves Ron Moss.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.